Hi guys, we are now into the second study session, that is futures basics we have to study. And if you remember, our first class was primarily to understand how this course will be, and we also tried understanding what are the basic differences between investors and traders, how you open your demat account, how you trade, how you take advantage of margins, how these advantages come at a cost of interest on margin, and how at times it might happen that you are falling short of your margin because of loss on the trades which you have taken based on margin. And if that money you are not able to pay within generally T plus 5 business days, working days, then in that case they will liquidate your stocks worth that much. This is the basic discussion we have done. Now we are moving into understanding futures. If you remember, I told you, as we refer to it as FNO segment, it is called as futures and options segment. Now understand one thing very clearly. There are two markets primarily for trading in equity. We are right now focusing only on equity, so we have two markets. One is called as the delivery based segment, जिसको हम कैश मार्केट भी कहते हैं. We refer to it as delivery based segment. As I told you, you own the shares, and that is the reason why you are required to pay 100% for it. If you remember, I gave you an example of iPhone. If you want to buy an iPhone or you want to buy any other thing, in that case you will be required to pay the 100% of the amount upfront, and then you get the ownership of it. Correct? No? In equity, you can either trade equity shares, stocks, either in cash market or you can trade it in FN. So there are two segments. First of all, right now we are not understanding why we trade in futures and options. Right now that is not the purpose. Study session 2 and study session 3 is independently understanding FNO segment के अंदर futures क्या है, options क्या है. That is the whole objective right now. And then in study session 4, once you get comfortable with understanding of futures and options, that is when we will start understanding how we applicate the trades in FNO segment for the purpose of cash market. Or you can do it independently also, or we can use FNO as a tool, as an assisting tool for your trades in cash market. I hope you understood my point. So basically, जब एक बंदा इक्विटी मार्केट में आया, जैसे मैंने कल आपको समझाया था, if a person wants to keep his life very simple, he doesn't want to get into FNO segment, then what he will do, he will straight away walk into the cash market. वहां पे 5 लाख, 10 लाख, 2 लाख, 1 लाख, 50,000, any amount of money you can bring in that market. But you know one thing very clearly, I will take ownership of the share. How long will I keep that ownership? Does not matter. I can keep it for 5 days, I can keep it for 5 minutes, I can keep it for 50 days, I can keep it for 500 days. That's up to me. Or I can keep it for 20 years also, because you are the owner of it, so you decide how long you want to keep it. There is possibility that a person can only do trades in cash market. वो पैसे देता है, delivery लेता है. There is a possibility that a person can do only FNO segment. He's not even interested in owning the shares. He is only trying to exploit his knowledge about markets, exploit his belief by trading in FNO. FNO is again subdivided into two, one of which is futures and the other is options. The pro course is to teach you these two, and then we learn advanced level things, that how strategies can be formulated where these two things independently can be used and it can be used in conjunction with cash market. This is what we are supposed to study in this course. So when you do futures and options, either you have a choice of doing it independently where you are not even interested in cash market, or you can do it in conjunction with the cash market. So cash market के साथ भी FNO कर सकते हैं and independently भी कर सकते हैं. But one thing is very clear, guys. You see this yellow line? This is a firewall. There's a firewall between the two markets. The biggest mistake anybody does while understanding the concepts is that people confuse between cash market and FNO. आपको एक बात समझना है, अगर आप दोनों ट्रेड्स भी एक साथ करते हैं, even if you're doing cash market with FNO, your cash market transactions have to be taken and settled in cash market. Your futures and option transactions have to be settled in FNO segment. There is no as such interchangeable relation between the two. You can't do this, that you take a trade in cash market and then you settle it in FNO. No, that's not possible. That's not possible. What you do in cash market, you have to settle it in cash market. आपको उसको square off करना है, रखना है, नहीं रखना है, वो सब cash market में होगा. So there is a firewall between the two markets. But yes, somebody comes to equity market. Let's say a person tells you, I want to buy shares of Infosys. So if this person buys shares of Infosys, he can trade Infosys in cash market, he can trade Infosys in futures, and he can trade Infosys in options. As simple as that. When a person wants to buy shares of a particular company, he has a choice. Either he can take the trades of Infosys and cash market. कैश मार्केट में वो डिलीवरी बेस्ड ट्रेड भी कर सकता है, मार्जिन बेस्ड भी कर सकता है. मार्जिन बेस्ड कैसे होता है वो कल मैंने बताया आपको. वो फ्यूचर्स में भी ट्रेड कर सकता है इन्फोसिस का, वो ऑप्शंस में भी ट्रेड कर सकता है. बट लेट मी मेक इट वेरी क्लियर, इफ ही टेक्स अ ट्रेड ऑफ इन्फोसिस इन कैश मार्केट, उसने अगर एक चीज कैश मार्केट में स्टार्ट किया है, उसको कंप्लीट भी कैश मार्केट में करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज देयर इज अ फायरवॉल. If he does it in futures, he will have to settle it in futures. If he does it in options, he will have to settle it in options. Something you did in cash market cannot be settled in futures. Something you did in futures cannot be settled in options. Something you did in futures cannot be settled in cash market. Something you did in options market cannot be settled in futures market. All three are independent markets. Please understand that very clearly, guys. Very clearly. These are basics which have already been covered in core. But as I told you, I am again doing all this. There is no harm in brushing up your concepts. Number one. Number two, for somebody registering directly for pro course, will not understand anything about FNO till the time he gets his hands on the basics of FNO. So let's be very clear about the concepts. The concepts have to be crystal clear in your mind. Futures, options, cash market. There are three ways in which I can trade in a particular script. They have their own advantages and disadvantages. They have their own processes. They have their own mechanisms. Everything told and understood. But one thing is very important to understand. Whatever you start in cash market has to be settled in cash market. Whatever you start in futures has to be settled in futures. Whatever you start in options have to be settled in options. But can I use two of them together to create a strategy? Yes, you can do that. I have already told you. That is what we are going to learn in our next 8 or 9 study sessions. But right now we are not discussing about how to formulate strategies. Right now we are just trying to understand. Cash market समझ आ चुका है. जिसको बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग कैश मार्केट का नहीं है सर, फिर ये कोर्स मत करिए. फर्स्ट यू गो बैक टू माय प्रो कोर कोर्स एंड डू इट फर्स्ट. ओनली कैश मार्केट, क्या सोच के शेयर खरीदना है, कैसे खरीदना है, व्हाट आर द थिंग्स यू लुक इनटू, what are the factors you consider, what are the fundamentals you look into, what are the situations and circumstances you look into before buying a share. All those things are covered over there. Now we are not into all that. I am presuming you know all that. Then what are we studying right now? How a person along with cash market can formulate certain strategies in futures and options. How a person who is not interested in cash market can formulate strategies in futures and options, whether for the purpose of speculation or for the purpose of hedging. That is different. Speculation मतलब आपको एक सोच है, उस सोच के बेसिस पे आपने अगर कुछ ट्रेडिंग किया. और hedging का मतलब, hedging is in simple terms insurance. Insurance means I did something in cash market. I have an exposure. क्या exposure? किसको exposure किसको बोलते हैं? What is the exposure? When you buy a car, what is your exposure? You might meet with an accident. That is your exposure. So what do you do to hedge? What do you do to hedge yourself? You buy an insurance. You buy a third party insurance. You buy a car insurance so that tomorrow while driving your car, if something happens to your car, then you know that there is a company which is going to pay you compensation for that loss which you suffer. I hope I am clear about it. So these futures and options, they can be used for two purposes. Either you can use it for speculation or you can use it for hedging. What is the primary difference between the two? आज इंडिया पाकिस्तान का मैच है, चल बेटिंग करते हैं. Who will win the match? Speculation. You are speculating Team India is going to win. Keeping your emotions aside, you think on technical grounds which team has what good bowlers, what good batsmen, who is going to win the toss, how the pitch looks like, whether batting first or bowling first is going to do good to you as a team. You consider all these factors and then you speculate. As simple as that. आपको लगता है नहीं, chances are more that India will win this match. So you bet your money on India. That is speculation. Did you have any exposure? No. Exposure is for Team India. Exposure is for Virat Kohli. Exposure is for those 11 players playing for the team. Whether they are able to perform or not. If they don't perform well, they might be chucked out of the team. They have a direct exposure. Do you have an exposure? No. But you have a belief. What is your belief? India match जीत सकता है. तो क्या करें? Betting करते हैं चलो. Can I do betting in equity markets? Yes, you can do. One example, I am thinking this time Infosys will post good numbers. So let us buy in Infosys. Whether you do it in cash market or futures is not my criteria right now. I am talking about mindset. I think in this quarter Infosys will post good numbers. So I want to buy shares of Infosys. That is speculation. Event driven, you are taking some exposure. You already have shares of Infosys in the cash market. Now you want to use FNO segment for hedging yourself. Then what? Then when you design a strategy in futures or options to protect your transaction in the cash market, then it is hedging. आपका एक ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग एक्सपोजर है, उस एक्सपोजर से बचने के लिए, उस एक्सपोजर को बचाने के लिए अगर आप कोई स्ट्रैटेजी डिजाइन करते हो, दैट स्ट्रैटेजी इज रेफर्ड टू एज हेजिंग. तो जो बंदा मार्केट में आता है, दैट पर्सन कैन एंटर इनटू मार्केट विद टू माइंडसेट. ईदर ही इज अ हेजर और ही इज अ स्पेक्युलेटर. प्रोसेस को बोलते हैं हेजिंग एंड स्पेक्युलेटिंग. जो करता है उसको बोलते हैं हेजर और स्पेक्युलेटर. यू कैन डू बोथ द थिंग्स and you can walk down two markets, delivery based market, FNO. If you come to FNO, you have two choices, either trade in futures or trade in options. But whatever I trade in, उसका settlement, उसका squaring off, उसका mechanism पूरा उसी market में आपको खत्म करना है. Once you enter into FNO market, you have two choices, either you do futures or do you do options. But if you start with futures, end with futures. If you start with options, end with options. Am I making sense, guys? Okay. Now, we are now talking about futures. A basic understanding about cash market we already have from our first lecture. Now we are talking about futures. Look, we just want to understand how futures work. The first thing, which even if I don't teach you right now about futures, one thing you know is that I am not interested in ownership. I am not interested in ownership. क्योंकि भैया देखो, जिसको ओनरशिप चाहिए ना, उसको बोलेंगे कैश मार्केट में जाके बात करें. यहाँ पे ओनरशिप, नीदर यू आर इंटरेस्टेड टू टेक ओनरशिप एज अ ट्रेडर इन फ्यूचर्स, नॉर द एक्सचेंज इज इंटरेस्टेड टू गिव यू डिलीवरी. देयर इज नो ओनरशिप, देयर इज नो डिलीवरी गिवन. बट इफ देयर इज नो डिलीवरी, देन वन मोर थिंग यू नो इज आई वोंट बी रिक्वायर्ड टू पे 100%. दैट इज फॉर श्योर. इफ आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू गेट ओनरशिप, इफ आई एम ओनली गोइंग टू टेक पोजीशन, दैट्स व्हाई वी से, जब बोलते हैं ना, यू नो हाउ वी टॉक, वी से I've taken delivery of 500 shares of Infosys. When you say this kind of a language, I've taken delivery of 500 shares of Infosys. I have purchased 500 shares of Infosys. That means you're talking about taking a trade in cash market. You have delivery liya hai. You purchased these shares. You took ownership of these shares. But when you're trading in futures, you know what you say? I have taken a position in futures of Infosys. That's a position you have taken. When you take a position and you square off your position, you will never say, I own 300 shares of Infosys in futures. No, that's a wrong statement to make. You can't own because you never paid 100%. So one thing is clear, अगर हम futures में काम करते हैं, we are not supposed to pay 100% of the money up front. We are only required to pay something as a small margin money. So only margin money is required to be paid. How much is that margin money? You need not bother about it. But one thing is sure, I don't have to pay 100%. Because if I have to pay 100%, then better I trade in cash market, no? Because cash market में तो मेरे को पता है कि if I take a trade in the cash market, I will get the ownership and I will pay 100% over there. So what is the point of coming in futures? The point of coming in futures is that, please understand one thing, I am not interested here to take ownership. If I am not interested to take ownership, do I need to pay 100%? Obviously not. And that is my advantage as a trader. दैट इज माई एडवांटेज एज अ ट्रेडर. अगर एक बंदा बोलेगा मेरे को 300 शेयर इन्फोसिस का खरीदना है 1500 के रेट पे, हाउ मच आर यू एंडिंग अप पेइंग? 4,50,000. दिस इज कैश मार्केट. You pay 4,50,000 rupees and you take ownership of 300 shares of Infosys. Where is this happening? Delivery based market. Where is this happening? Cash market. This is the market I am talking about. Can I take futures of it? Yes, you can take futures of this. If you take futures of Infosys, probably these 300 shares worth to वहां पे भी 1500 का है, but maybe let's assume you only have to pay 30%. So such less amount, yeah, but you are not getting ownership. Understand that you are not getting ownership. So how much are you supposed to pay? You are only supposed to pay 4,50,000 into 30%. How much is that? I think 1,35,000, but I don't want to take chances because I am recording myself. तब आप बोलोगे इसको तो मैथ्स भी नहीं आता. Yeah, 1,35,000. Only 1,35,000 I have to pay. Yes. Is that the advantage of trading in futures? Yes. That's the advantage. तो अभी यहां पे वीडियो बंद करके कल से फ्यूचर्स का ट्रेडिंग मत स्टार्ट करना. वेट फॉर अ व्हाइल. कल मैंने एक एग्जांपल दिया था ना, when you speak to seniors in your family who have been doing futures or who have done futures and had a bitter experience, और जैसे ही तुम बोलते हो घर जाके मेरे को एफएनओ में काम करना, बोलता है चल चल अभी घर से बाहर निकल, सारा पैसा तुम्हारे अकाउंट से निकाल लेंगे. they won't let you be there. If you say केपी सर ने बोला फ्यूचर्स बहुत बढ़िया है, तब मेरे को भी फोन आएगा. क्या उल्टा उल्टा बच्चा लोग को सिखाते हैं सर आप. Because immediately you start feeling an advantage when you're trading in futures. क्योंकि आप क्या बोलोगे, मैं क्या बेवकूफ हूं, मैं 4.5 लाख रुपया देके कैश मार्केट में शेयर्स उठाऊंगा. I will take the same number of shares यार by trading in futures. Wow, that's very good. That's brilliant idea, right? Why should I pay so much money in cash market? But you understand one thing, cash market में you are paying 100% because you are getting ownership. So you will say, I am not even interested in taking ownership, sir. I'll just pay 30% and take a position. क्योंकि अगर यहाँ पे भी शेयर ऊपर जाएगा, फायदा तो यहाँ पे भी होगा, फायदा होगा, करेक्ट. You will get benefited. That is, yes, that is, honestly speaking, that is, yes, an advantage of futures. Just by paying 30%, 40%, you are getting the same exposure as somebody paying 100% in the cash market. क्या नुकसान है इसका? बड़ा नुकसान बाद में समझाऊंगा, अभी छोटा नुकसान समझाता हूं. यू विल नॉट बी अ रजिस्टर्ड शेयर होल्डर. सर फर्क नहीं पड़ता. नॉट बिलीविंग इन दीज मटीरियलिस्टिक थिंग्स. यू विल नॉट बी अलाउड टू पार्टिसिपेट इन दी एजीएम ऑफ द कंपनी. बोर्ड मीटिंग्स या जो भी उसका डिस्कशंस होगा वो सब आपको नहीं बताया जाएगा. सर कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. आई ट्रस्ट द मैनेजमेंट ऑफ द कंपनी. मेरे को नहीं चाहिए वो लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, मेरे को पता है इन्फोसिस अच्छा कंपनी है. यू विल नॉट बी एंटाइटल्ड टू डिविडेंड्स. हाँ, यहाँ थोड़ा फर्क पड़ेगा, बट सर इट्स ओके. एनीवेज आई डिडंट प्लान टू कीप द शेयर फॉर लॉन्ग. डिविडेंड्स नहीं मिलेगा. वुड यू नॉट गेट डिविडेंड्स इन केस ऑफ फ्यूचर्स? द आंसर इज यस, यू वोंट गेट इट. बट व्हाई सर? बिकॉज यू आर नॉट द ओनर ऑफ द शेयर्स. अरे डिविडेंड किसको दिया जाता है? शेयर होल्डर्स को. आर यू अ शेयर होल्डर व्हेन यू आर ट्रेडिंग इन फ्यूचर्स? नो, you just took a position. Who is a shareholder? Shareholder is somebody who owns the shares of the company and he is considered owner of the shares of the company for that much amount of shares what he is holding. Are you the owner of the shares? No. Are you interested in taking ownership? Answer is no. People know this clearly that they are not interested in taking ownership, but they just want to trade in the shares of Infosys. That is why they are trading in futures. Do they understand these things? I will not be entitled to dividends. I will not be entitled to participate in the AGM. I will not be entitled to be called as a shareholder. My name won't appear in the register of the shareholders. I don't care. All I care about is I am only paying 1,35,000, whereas you who is trading in cash market is paying 4.5 lakhs. I am saving my money. Yeah, you are saving your money. You are saving your money. But I told you one thing yesterday. One thing of futures is very similar to what you did in cash market. What is that? cash market में भी जो मार्जिन पे ट्रेडिंग करते हैं वो ओनर नहीं है. उसने अपने ब्रोकरेज हाउस से एक तरह का लोन लिया है फॉर ट्रेडिंग इन शेयर्स. आर यू अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाट आई एम सेइंग? Even in case of cash market trading, if you are doing a trade on margin, it means you have taken a loan from the brokerage house to buy the shares of the company. And what is the bad side of it? The bad side is, if you remember, the bad side is if this 7 lakhs portfolio falls or drops by 20 or 25%, then in that case you will be required to pay the difference to the brokerage house, and it's a ticking time bomb. If you remember, I told you T plus 5 days के अंदर आपको amount pay करना पड़ेगा. That is also there in case of futures. If understand one thing very carefully, guys, very carefully. If you buy shares over here, that is in the cash market, and tomorrow this 1500 becomes 1200, you will definitely be sad because your investment has gone wrong. But will you be bothered by your broker? Answer is no. Your broker cannot bother you. Why? Because I paid 4,50,000 for buying these 300 shares. If I paid 4,50,000 for buying these 300 shares, even if the price goes down to zero, nobody can tell me anything, because this is my holding now. Arey Baba, if I buy this iPhone and after that I just lost it, or I just dropped it somewhere and a car went past over it, the value of the phone might become zero. But does it bother somebody to ask me to pay for that? Answer is no. Why should I pay? Because I already paid 100%. After I paid 100%, I am a clean owner of this phone. I am a complete owner of this phone. If I am the complete owner, then it's my responsibility whether this phone value goes up or it goes down to zero. It becomes worthless. Doesn't matter. The same thing happens with equity shares in cash market. If I paid 100%, how can my broker disturb me for falling value of Infosys? Doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm losing my invested capital, but does that bother anybody to ask me to pay? Answer is no. How can somebody tell me to pay for it? I hope I'm making sense. But trading in futures is almost like trading on margin in cash market. क्योंकि futures में क्या होगा? Futures में for something which is worth 4,50,000, how much did you pay? You paid 1,35,000. For something worth 4,50,000, how much did you pay? You paid 1,35,000. Now what? Now what will happen? If tomorrow the share goes down by 100 rupees, 20 rupees, 50 rupees, is something which happens on a daily basis, that is called M2M. What is M2M? M2 is mark to market. On a daily basis, exchange knows the risk. Exchange knows the risk very clearly in this trade which you have done. You have taken exposure of how much? 4,50,000. How much did you pay for it? 1,35,000. Understand one thing. Let's say today is Monday. How much is Infosys trading at? 1,500. What is the lot size? I will explain you what is the lot size in some time. But right now you understand lot size is 300 because that is the example we have taken. What is the value? 4,50,000. How much did you pay as margin? We call it as initial margin. How much did you pay? 1,35,000. Tuesday, it's trading at 1450. How much is the lot size? 300. How much is the change in value? That is what we call as M2M. Mark to market. 50 rupees lost on 300 shares. There is a 15,000 fall for you because you are holding how many shares, sir? 300. How much was the initial margin required? 1,35,000. How much share has dropped from that level? From that level, the share has dropped down to 1450. How much are you losing on every share? 50. How much are you losing on 300 shares? 15,000. Immediately on Tuesday evening, your broker will debit 15,000 from your fund balance. आपका fund balance कितना था? Continue with my previous example. Yesterday we understood that my fund balance is 50,000. Immediately from 50,000, this 15,000 will be debited. मतलब Wednesday morning when you get up and see your fund balance in your demat account, it will show as 35,000. 15,000 debited towards M2M for Infosys. 1,35,000 is what you pay to initiate a transaction of futures. After that, any fall happens in the share, they will ask you to deposit the margin. Let's say next day, it goes down to 1,350. How much is the fall? 100. We'll see fall from this level, the last close. Because between 1,450 and 1,500, whatever is the difference, that much I have already been debited for, no? Now it is 1,350. How much is the fall? 100. How much is it? 300. How much have you lost? 30,000. How much is your fund balance? 35,000. From 35,000, this 30,000 will be deducted. How much are you left with as a fund balance? 5,000. Now you know one thing. A sword is hanging on your head. Thursday, Friday, if Infosys further falls, you only have a buffer of how much? 5,000 rupees. What will happen after that? After that, if your share falls any further and you don't have sufficient fund balance in your account, again your margins will become negative and they will start calling out for either transfer of funds to that extent or they will liquidate your position. So the risk of shortfall of margin is there in cash market if you're trading on margin. It is there in futures also. Advantage is you are allowed to initiate a position with 1,35,000. What is the value of your transaction? 4,50,000. You have taken 4,50,000 worth of trade just by paying 1,35,000. And you know, people want to be positive when it comes to equity markets. So suppose if you have a friend who has very limited capital, like I have thousands of clients in the past I have had who had limited capital and they insist they want to do futures. If I tell them how much is your capital, sir, I have 2 lakhs of capital, that would suffice. That may not suffice, but sir, why would you say that? I have seen so many futures where only margin requirement is 1 lakh, 1,10,000, 1,20,000, 1,30,000. We will take a trade, it will go up, we will sell, we will book profits. No. That is okay, you are thinking positive, but what if it comes down? If it comes down and looks something like what is written on the screen right now in front of you, what will you do? Do you have anything more than 2 lakhs? No, sir. If it goes more than 2 lakhs, then I will have to ask my father for it. Then he will ask me to leave the house. And then you can't do futures. You can't do futures. Are there ways of doing futures where we can have 2 lakhs and still do it? Answer is yes, there are ways. But right now, based on knowledge that you have, you would have already understood one thing. Trading in futures is very risky if somebody is sitting only with 2 lakhs of capital. Then it is very risky. Because till the time share is going up, if you are taking a long position, we call it as long position. जैसे यहाँ पे Infosys खरीदने को हम long position बोलते हैं. These are very basics, but I'm still covering, assuming कि किसी को नहीं पता तो भाई clear हो जाए, नहीं तो आगे बहुत दिक्कत आने वाला है boss. That is why we are spending so much time understanding these basics, because I have been a strong believer throughout my career, throughout my education also. If your basics are not clear, advanced level things you won't understand. And if you understand basics clearly, advanced level things I will make sure that you understand at ease. But your basics have to be super clear, guys. So when you trade in futures, you can do 2 things. You can buy a share, you can sell a share. So if you buy a share in futures, we don't say buy because I am not taking ownership. So we call it as long position. We call it as long because it's a position. No. Now if somebody tells you tomorrow, what is the difference between buy and long? Normally people say buy and long are same thing. No, it's not the same thing. Long, we use the word for wherever we are taking positions. People generally don't say I have taken long position on Infosys in cash market. No, if it's cash market, it's first of all not a position. It's a delivery that you have taken. Long is generally used for positions, and positions are done in FNO. So when you buy something, we refer to it as long. When we sell something, we refer to it as short. We don't say sell, I have sold my shares. We say we have taken a short position, because again it is a position that you are taking in FNO. Am I making sense, guys? So when somebody comes to me and tells me I only have 2 lakhs and I want to do pure futures, would you suggest me to do it? Answer is a big no. Are there ways of doing it with 2 lakhs, 2.5 lakhs? Yes, there are ways of doing it. Obviously, risk is always there. The more the capital you have, the safer it is and better it is, convenient it is to do FNOs. But then there are people who have capital limits, and then we have to, and when they're very clear in their mind that they want to do futures with that limited capital, then we have to design strategies that how with small amount of capital also, if a person wants to take limited risk, how we can design strategies. That is what you come to me for. But ideally speaking, theoretically, going by the book, going by the thumb rule, for somebody having 2.5 lakhs of capital, would you suggest going straight into doing futures? The answer is a big no. Even if I tell you it's not correct to do futures just with 2 lakhs, 2.5 lakhs. क्यों सर, क्यों नहीं कर सकते हैं सर? 1,35,000 ही तो लगेगा. अरे अभी तो समझाया, 1,35,000 लगेगा, 2 lakhs का कैपिटल है. What is the cushion money you have? 65,000. Tomorrow something happens to Mr. Putin. Something happens to Mr. Putin, he declares a war against the country, your shares start going down like a pack of cards, then what? The margin shortfall होगा. 65,000 के बाद धमकी का मैसेज आएगा. बहुत sophisticated way में मैसेज आता है, but धमकी का मैसेज आता है. They threaten you. They say either you pay the shortfall of margin within XYZ number of days. यहाँ पे futures में तो margin shortfall भी एक दिन के अंदर पे करना पड़ता है. They don't give you 5 days time because your risk is more. When your risk is more, even the risk of broker is more. So here what they do is they give you time. Either you pay the margin money, sir, or I will square off. Simple. Either you pay or I square off. Only 2 languages. There are only 2 choices. Is there any possibility to do something other than that? Yeah, there are possibilities. But as a thumb rule, if you come to the market only with 2 lakhs and you take a trade and your margin goes below 65,000, sir, you pay it or you square off your position, and whatever loss is there, you book it. As simple as that. Let's say your margin requirement is 70,000 in this trade. 70,000. What is that 70,000? 70,000 is your loss on that position. That is what we refer to as shortfall. जितना शेयर गिरेगा उतना लॉस होगा ना सर आपको. How much have you paid? 65. After that, are you able to pay 5,000? I don't have. Then what will they do? They will just square off your position. What is the total loss on this position? 70,000. 65 which you paid for your loss, 5,000 which you could not pay. They will deduct that money from 1,35,000. Balance 1,30,000 will come into your account, which means you did one trade and you lost 70%. 70,000, which is 35% of your money. I hope I am making sense. Let's look at something, how for these futures, how the information is given to you, how the data is presented to you, because there are a lot of other things I have to tell you in the basics part itself. If you see this is Tata Steel. Can you see that? The price which you see over there is the price for trading in cash market. 949.50 was the closing for today. Okay. Now if you go down, these are screenshots I have taken because it's not convenient to show you data from live pictures or something like that, because I can't zoom into the data like this, so I have to take screenshots and keep it with me. Okay, so this 949, what you see is the cash market price. Now if you see, there is you see down this, you see this is F&O is written over there, which means if a person wants, he can do the F&O also. And this data what you see here is all the statistics given. Uska 52-week high kya hai, 52-week low kya hai, what is the price to book value, the EPS of the company, the PE ratio, the sector PE ratio. You see the sector PE ratio, what is the EPS for the company, what is the beta value. All these things have been covered in our core course, so I'm not going into all this. So we are straight away coming into this part, F&O. तो अभी टाटा स्टील में सपोज करिए आपका मन कर गया कि मेरे को कैश मार्केट में काम नहीं करना है, मेरे को F&O में काम करना है. Then you go to this segment, F&O. When you do that, then you will find this kind of data. F&O में जब जाएंगे, ये डेटा दिखेगा आपको. देखिए, so futures, because that is a position to be taken, you have a choice to take 3 different positions. You get my point? You can take a July month future, you can take August month future, you can take September month future. These are the 3 choices you have. Either you can take a July future, or you can take an August future, or you can take a September future. If I am sitting in the month of July, then I have 3 choices: July, August, September future. If I am sitting in the month of March, somewhere in the mid of March, I have 3 choices. Either I can take March future, I can take April future, or I can take June future. March, April and May month futures. If I'm sitting in the month of January, I will have three choices. Either I can take January future, I can take February future, I can take March future. There are three choices always. Practically speaking, guys, people go with the same month future. Practically. Theoretically, आप तीनों में कर सकते हो, but practically we do it in the same month future. So any reason for that? Yes, there is a specific reason for that, and the reason is that we find more liquidity. What do you mean by liquidity? Liquidity means the volume of transactions is more when you do it for the same month. People don't want to do it for a future which is far away from it. It doesn't make any difference, because if you see, there is a small difference in the price. Like in this case, July future is available at 949, August future is available at 9452, and September future is available at 955.90. These are the different prices. Generally, higher, longer the maturity, more is the price. Like that, price is a little more for July contract. Now, when you click on July, then something like this will happen in front of you. This is the kind of data that will open. When you click on July, what are important things? First, you see, this is the lot size given. For futures, lot size will be given. What is lot size? Lot size is the minimum quantity for which you have to trade. So for Tata Steel, if somebody wants to take a trade, the minimum number of shares in which you have to trade in is 425. What else? How many contracts were traded on a particular day? 40,785 contracts were traded. Contract means one lot trading is called one contract. So in 425 lot size, that is equal, if you trade one lot of 425 shares, that becomes one contract. How many such contracts were traded on one day? 40,785 contracts were traded in a particular day. People can do both the things. They can buy, they can sell. Buy means long, sell means short. I hope you understand. Then you have this bid price. Bid price means buyer price, and then you have this ask price. That is the seller price. The seller is sitting at 949.7 and the buyer is sitting at 949.55. Obviously, seller will always be quoting a higher price, buyer will always be quoting a lower price. Then you find high and low values given. Aaj ka total, today what was the high and today what was the low. That kind of values will be given to you. I hope this is making sense. So when I trade in futures, I know certain things now. Futures will only require margin, clear about it. Futures will have a specific lot size. Minimum in that lot size I will have to trade, clear about this. Futures will have three different maturities, but KP sir told us practically people trade in the same month future, and futures will also have maturity. Like if you see, they have not just written July over here, they have written 28th July. What does that mean? 28 July. 28 July means this future is going to expire on 28 July. Which means for somebody who has taken a position in this Tata Steel future, he will have to square off his position compulsorily latest by 28 July. It is the last Thursday of the month. It is the last Thursday of the month. So by 28 July, you will have to sell your July contract. उसके बाद अगर आपको टाटा स्टील में पोजीशन कंटिन्यू करना आप करिए, आप जुलाई का बेच के अगस्त का ले लीजिए. Once you step into August, you will again have three contracts: August, September, October. Like right now you have July, August, September. In August you will have August, September, October. If you want to continue holding your position, you just sell off your July contract and you take August month contract. Guys, I hope this is making sense to you. One more example we are taking. This is Reliance. This is Reliance in front of you. That is the cash market price written 2421. Then you have three futures. You have a July contract, you have an August contract, you have a September contract right now. Next month you will have August, September, October. You have these prices given over here. July ka, August ka, September, they are almost same, small differences will be there. And then when you click on August in this case, I have taken intentionally August, You see the date is written 25th August, which means 20, if you pick up the calendar and see 25th August is the last Thursday of the month. I hope you understood. So if you now take Reliance ka future, and you want to continue holding it till end of August, you can't keep it till 31st of August. Latest by 25th of August, you will have to sell your August ka contract, and if you want, you can take a September ka contract. What is the lot size? 250 shares. How many trades have been done today? 40,760 trades have been done. I hope this is making sense, guys. Okay. I have not logged into my angel broking account, otherwise I would have shown you, I'll do it tomorrow for sure. I would have shown you how when you click on it and you want to do a trade, how your this thing, when you key in the data that I want to take future of Reliance for July month or August month, whatever it is, how margin is calculated. So see, as a trader, as an investor, as a participant in the market, you are least bothered कि calculations कैसे किया जाता है, because that is not your that is not something which should bother you, because that is something which exchange will calculate and it will be given to you by your brokerage house. Once you key in ना मेरे को Reliance का जुलाई का एक future खरीदना है, you will find it written over there. कल दिखाऊंगा आपको. I'll show you. Now I'm not sure if post market hours also we can see that, but on Google there is a lot of data available. How much is the margin for each contract that you will find. These are like, you know, recomputed every 3 months or 6 months by the exchange and shared it. So with all the brokers, so brokers will accordingly update their system. So next time when you key in, I want one Reliance future, they will show you how much margin is needed for that. Understood? Let me see if I can do something on my phone right now. Okay, see this. I'm not sure if this will make sense, but I'll try to do it on my system tomorrow. But if you see this, I have it's not very clear, I guess, but if you see this, I have posted over there one contract I need, and the moment I've written one contract, it is showing the margin on the downside over here. I'll show you properly tomorrow, guys. Sorry for the inconvenience. The margin required for one contract of Reliance, if I'm doing it, it's 1,34,120. Let's do one thing. We'll do small maths. कितना margin देने बोला? 1,34,120. और how many shares of Reliance? 250. What is the current price of Reliance? 2,400. Which means, think of it very normally. 2,400 into 250. If I buy 250 shares of Reliance in the cash market, I will be required to pay 6 lakhs, close to 6 lakhs. This is if you want the delivery. If I take the future, I am only paying how much? 1,34,120. Which means your margin is only 22.35%. Does that excite you? Answer is yes. That will excite everybody. But for any knowledgeable person, that person understands that just by having 1,35,000 in hand, things are not going to work out for me. They say something. Just by having 1,35,000 in hands, things are not going to work for me, because tomorrow if Reliance starts falling below 2,400, then my broker is going to ask me for the excess money to be paid. And if I fail to pay, they will square off my position. So let's say I have taken August future of Reliance. Just a second, guys. Yeah. So let's say we have taken August Reliance future. So when we buy a future, when we take a long position, I will use this kind of a symbol, F plus. Means I have purchased a future. I have taken a long position. I have taken Reliance future at the rate of 24 50, let's say 25th August, I am still holding on to it. But 25th August is the Thursday, and at this point of time, assuming that I have paid all my M2M margins, I have paid, I have no shortage of funds, broker is debiting from my account, no problems. How much is my loss? 150. But is the total loss 150? No. The lot size is 250. Whatever happens is always going to be multiplied with 250. What is the total loss? 37,500. Abhi 25th August, exchange knows one thing. What do you have? F plus. How do you square off this position? Square off. We use the word square off. Position को जब खत्म करते हैं ना उसको square off बोलते हैं. First of all, guys, understand one thing. If I have taken Reliance in futures, where do I need to close my position? Can I close it in the cash market? Answer is no. Can you close it in the cash market? Answer is no. Well, there is a penalty imposed by SEBI that I will talk about later. Abhi suddenly you see only this video and you say, technically you are wrong, Mr. KP, because when you don't square off your position in futures, you are required to take physical delivery in the cash market. I'm not talking about all that right now. I'm talking about normal understanding. If you take F plus, you will have to square off your position, and where do you do that? You do it in futures market itself. What exchange told you? You take a contract of August any point of time in the month of July or August. But what you need to do is, you need to square off your position latest by when? Latest by 25th of August. Where do you need to do that? In the futures market. If you don't do it, there is penalty. There are penalties. That penalty part is something different that we will discuss later on. How do you do that? What did you do initially? I took a long position. Now what do you need to do? You need to take a F minus, short position. Long will be squared off by taking a short. Similarly, short will be squared off by taking a long. When you take F plus at 2450 and you take F minus at 2300, in simple language, what have you done? Sir, I purchased something at 2450. I purchased something at 2450, but I sold it at 2300. Did you suffer a loss? Yes, huge loss. How much? 37,500. Do you want to get rid of Reliance? No. I'm still confident about the fundamentals of Reliance, so I want to keep my position. What is the next thing you will do? You will take September ka F plus. At what rate? Close to 2300. That is the rate trading prevailing today, no? So your next contract will be for 2300 only, no? Say something. Are you understanding? Keeping it very simple, guys. These things are very, very, very important. If you don't understand these things, forget about formulating strategies. Your basics have to be right at your finger ends. Only then you can trade in futures using different strategies where you mix your cash market, futures, options, call, put, everything. You frame strategies only when you know the basics. Why did you take a future of September again? Because I'm still bullish on Reliance. Now what is, I didn't say foolish, I said bullish. Who is a bullish person? A bullish person is somebody who believes the share will go up. That is why the first word is bull. We say no, the markets are in bull phase right now. Who is bullish? A bullish person is somebody who is anticipating upside movement. Then who is the opposite of that? The opposite is bearish. Like we say, the bear markets. The markets are going down. Person is bearish on the market. So on September or on 25th of August, compulsorily you will have to sell off your future of Reliance. If you want, you can take next month future. That is called in technical language as rolling over your position. What is it called? Rolling over your position. Rolling over your position. You squared off your August contract and you took a September contract. I hope this is making sense, guys. If you lost your belief in the share, you may decide not to continue holding it. You can also have a stop loss, no, maybe 2450 Reliance future taken, kept a stop loss of 2400. What does that mean? That means if it goes below 2400, I will square off my position. As simple as that. It went to 2400. You squared off your position at what date? Any point of time, boss. Any point of time. You purchased it on 10th of August. You square off on 10th of August itself if it goes down by 50 rupees. You don't want to keep it. As simple as that. Then how much is the loss? 50 rupees. How many shares? 250. Total loss 12,500. Simple. But if you stay confident about a scrip, you want to continue holding it, then on 25th August you will have to roll over. August का contract को close करिए, September का contract लीजिए, and from there again price changes will happen. So at 2300, let's say it starts going up, that will show as a profit in your account. But is that a profit? No. I have August month loss. How much was your loss? 37,500. September profit is how much? 30,000, which means I still have 7,500 loss to be recovered, because I suffered loss of 37,500 in the month of August, this one. So next month, September month, your profit or loss will be calculated from 2300. So would you feel happy about seeing that 30,000 ka profit? Answer is no, because I have already got a loss of 37,500, which I first need to recover. Now suppose if in September contract you have a profit of 50,000. 50,000 is a profit in the month of September. Now are you happy? Yeah, now you are happy. Now why are you happy? Because my loss was how much in the August contract? 37,500. अभी कमाया कितना? 50,000. अभी net profit कितना है? 12,500 का net profit. 12,500 is my net profit. Who does a long trade? Somebody who is bullish on a share. You took a long trade. When somebody is bearish on a share, मतलब उसको क्या लग रहा है? तेजी मंदी, तेजी मंदी. तेजी means bull, मंदी means bear. The big advantage of futures against cash market. In cash market, I told you, you can take delivery or you can trade using margin. But there are restrictions on short selling something. आप खरीद सकते हैं, short selling allowed नहीं है. Short selling का मतलब, I don't have Reliance. If I want to buy Reliance, I can buy delivery of Reliance 50 shares. I can also buy using margin. Explained yesterday. Short selling means मेरे पास Reliance का शेयर नहीं है और मुझे लग रहा है कि इस बार Reliance का रिजल्ट अच्छा नहीं आएगा. This time Reliance is not going to post good numbers. If Reliance is not going to post good numbers, I want to sell 50 shares of Reliance. Is that allowed? Answer is no. You are not allowed to sell something which you don't have, because cash market is all about taking delivery, giving delivery, taking delivery, giving delivery. Can I sell this iPhone to anybody without having it? Can I tell somebody, you do one thing, boss, you pay me 1 lakh rupees, but you take the phone from the showroom. Arey boss, if I take the phone from the showroom, then I will pay to the showroom. Who are you? I am not entitled to give ownership because I never have ownership. So when you sell shares, what does that mean? You are transferring ownership at a price. But why should you get a price when you don't have ownership to offer? Tell me if you understood what I said. If I have 50 shares of Reliance, I can probably sell. No, but if I don't have, how do I sell? So short selling is not allowed. Short sell means I try to sell something which I am short of. I don't have it. You say, no, I'm short of money today. Every terminology has been derived from some logical understanding. उतना details में जाना है तो मेरा SFM का classes पढ़ना पड़ेगा boss. Can't do that. That much is not required also. But I'm giving you basic understanding of all those terminologies which are required for you, who are hedgers, who are speculators, what is a bull, what is bear, what is long, what is short selling. These are basic terms you should know. Can you short sell in the cash market? Answer is no. So even if you feel Reliance is going to go down in value, you can't short sell Reliance. Now there are certain brokerage houses which allow you to short sell in the morning, but by afternoon intraday closing karna padega trade ka. We are not going into all that. A kind of short selling is allowed by some brokers where you are allowed to sell in the morning and buy back latest by 3:10 or 3:15 p.m. But that kind of foolishness nobody wants to do, because not even God knows what is going to happen with the share on the same day. Forget about technical analyst. This is where futures have one more advantage. If you take F plus, how do you square off it? By taking F minus. There is one more thing. You can first take F minus. You can first take F minus and then you can take F plus. Who will do this? Somebody who is bearish? Who will do this? Not this. This is compulsorily you are doing. Who will do this? Somebody who is bullish. Well, if I think a share can come down in value, then I can short the futures. That's why we call it a short. I created a short position. Let's say I feel Tata Steel won't give good numbers this time because of government regulating the prices of steel. They are putting some capping on the price of steel, so they don't allow you to increase the prices beyond a certain limits. As a result of which you feel this time Tata Steel numbers won't be good because Tata Steel margins will be less because they're not able to pass on the cost to the ultimate buyers. So you think Tata Steel नीचे जाएगा? अभी क्या करना है? कैश मार्केट में Tata Steel शॉर्ट नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि मेरे पास नहीं है. If I had it in the cash market, probably I would have sold it for now if I wanted. If I'm not a long-term investor, I can sell my shares thinking कि वो नीचे जाएगा फिर मैं नीचे के दाम पे खरीद लूँगा. But if I want to trade in futures with this Tata Steel, can I do that? Answer is yes. How do you do that? We'll take F minus at the rate of 950. Lot size is 425. We have taken this example. Thinking that it will go down. Two things can happen. It goes down to 900. Happy or sad? Happy or sad? I'm happy because I took a short position at 950. But I sold something at 950. To square off, I will have to buy. So I buy at F plus 900. What is my profit? 50 multiplied with 425, the lot size. This is my profit. You thought results will be bad, but actually on the contrary, results turned out to be good and the price goes up to 1000 rupees. Now what will happen? You will be sad because in order to square off, you will have to take F plus. If you took F minus, in order to square off, you will have to take F plus. If you took a F minus, you will have to take F plus. If you took F plus first, then you will have to take F minus. You know this part. You thought results will be bad, but surprisingly, Tata Steel came up with very good numbers and the price of the stock went up to 1000 rupees. Now for 1000, you will have to take F plus. आपने बेचा कितने में? 950. खरीदा कितने में? 1000. What is your loss? 50 rupees. So 50 into 425 happens to be your loss. That much money exchange will debit from your account. I hope I am making sense, guys. If I come back to these images, you will notice one thing. Reliance 28 July contract is trading at how much? 2423. Can you see this? 2423 is the contract of July. And how much was Reliance in the cash market? 2421. The cash market and futures prices are always slightly different, which is again a classical proof of the fact that these are two different markets from where we started. They are interlinked for sure. They are interlinked. अगर एक जगह कैश मार्केट में दाम चेंज होगा तो फ्यूचर्स में भी चेंज होगा. But we started our discussion from this part today that there is a firewall between the two markets. Cash market is separate, futures is separate. Futures are derivatives. They derive their value from cash market for sure, but they don't imitate cash market. Cash market में price Tata Steel का let's say is 948, futures maybe 950. This price is derived from 948 for sure, but will it be exactly same as cash market? No. That is one big proof that these are two different markets. If you do a trade in futures, you do it in futures. If you do it in cash market, you do it in cash market. One last thing and then we call off this class. I have done the basics of futures with you. If you have any doubts, you will ask me. Needless to say that I am always available on WhatsApp. You can drop me your messages and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. I forgot what I wanted to say. Yeah, one last thing which I wanted to tell you is there is something called as a penalty. So sometimes a trader is very negligent, and like I told you, if you take F plus, you will have to take F minus to square off your position, and that has to be done latest by like I said 25th of July, 25th of August, this date. If a person is not able to square off his position by 25th of August, exchange is very strict about it, and what they do in those cases is understand very carefully, although it is of no sense to us because we don't want to breach the contract, number one. But just in case if you breach it, then what exactly is going to happen is what I'm making you understand, so that you are aware about it. If you buy a Reliance future by 25th August or any time before that, you will have to square off your position. How do you do a square off? If you took a long, you will have to take a short position. If you fail to do that by 25th August, exchange penalty says that you will have to buy equivalent number of shares in the cash market, in which case obviously for most of us, we won't have that much money in the cash market, because cash market would require you to pay 100% money, and if you fail to do that, then there are again penalties and interest on that. So this is one mistake which we cannot do. So also with my clients also, I keep sending them messages: roll over your positions, close your positions. If somebody fails to close the position, then the repercussions are very, very adverse. We don't want to face them, because exchange will say, if you don't roll over your position, we assume this, that you want to take delivery of those shares, in which case you will have to take the delivery in cash market. And for taking delivery in cash market, you can't just pay 20-25%, you will have to pay entire 100%, which obviously you won't be able to pay. Understood? So this is, guys, basics of futures. I hope you understood everything, whatever we have done. We will in our next class discuss about options. Options are little tricky, but most of the things which we studied in futures, the basics, like who are hedgers, who are speculators, how do you take a long position, short position, 3 months contracts are available, squaring off is to be done, long position first, short then to square off, short position first, long then to square off. These things are basically same in both the segments, and we will discuss about options in the next class. If you have any doubts, please ask me about it. Also, I'll share a couple of assignments with you on futures, so that you can do some rough computations and share with me. Okay, so till we meet again, bye bye, God bless all of you. Thank you, guys.